This is Leslie from GoToKitchens.com. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here today live. I decided to do something a little different today. It's been a long time since we have broadcasted from our backyard. So today we are broadcasting from the backyard in the gorgeous shade of my beautiful tree that I am so thankful for. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I see lots of you jumping in. Hello, Happy Feet. Thank you for being here. Hello, Nicole. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Hi, Facebook, whoever jumped in. Thanks for saying hello today. Hi, Tina. Hello. Hello, Perry Princess. Thank you so much for being here. It is, I know, not a good idea in Tucson right now. It's actually supposed to be 90 here today, but I know in Tucson it's like 115 or something. Thank you so much. First time watching. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for joining in today. Sherry's here. Thank you guys so much. Hi, Raylon. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Sarah. Sarah's my #1 super fan. Thank you, Sarah, so much for being here. It's good to have you here. Hey, Julie. Thank you, guys. Hey, Pam. Thank you, guys, for being here. Hi, Heaven and a Girl. I love that name. It's good to see you. Hi, Cindy. Thank you. Hi, Leroy. Oh, my gosh. So many people here today. It's good to see you on this Tuesday, which is my Monday. Tuesday is my Monday. And so it's really interesting to have Mondays off. I actually spent the weekend totally de-stressing in the mountains. We had the most gorgeous weekend. If you follow me on Facebook, Leslie Nance on Facebook, you'll see some of my photos. It was amazing. Hey, Cindy, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here. So I thank you. I know, right? It was hard not to have gorgeous photos this weekend because it was so gorgeous outside. Hey, John, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here with us over on Facebook. So before we get too far down the road, let me introduce myself. By the way, we're talking about stress today. I asked a question there at the beginning of the broadcast in my title, and so that may have caught your attention, and we're actually talking about stress today. So let me introduce myself super fast. My name is Leslie Nance. You are watching Lunch with Leslie. I do this show every weekday. Oh, no, I don't. I do this show Tuesday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 11 a.m. Pacific, noon Mountain Time, and 1 p.m. Central. So thank you so much for joining me here. Hello, you have lots of stresses, right? And your cancer's back. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Cancer is not your destiny. I just want to say that to you. Actually, I want to look you in the eyes and say to you that even though you're having a reoccurrence, that cancer is not your destiny. It is not your destiny. And so nobody got time for that, right? So I have some major notes here today. Hey, Estelle, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. So I have some major notes that I want to share with you guys today. And we're going to talk about a tough subject. And, I teach people how to make their bodies inhospitable to cancer. And most of the time, hey Scott, it's good to see you. Most of the time we do those teachings. Hi, Humanity United. Ooh, nice name. I love that. I love that name. You want to move to my state. My name is Leslie, but thank you. Yes, it is a beautiful day. I totally agree. So, right, you love these drop-in knowledge scopes. Well, that's good because we're going to drop some serious knowledge today. So some of you may or may not know that I do most of my teaching in the kitchen. Most of the time I'm in the kitchen teaching you how to make your body inhospitable to cancer through the kitchen, through eating wholesome, real foods. But today I want to talk about the emotional side of cancer because it's real. I mean, our bodies are not just what we eat, unfortunately. Sometimes it's what's eating us that makes all the difference in a cancer journey. There are actually, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but there are actually certain types of cancers that are deemed emotional cancers, which is crazy to think about. But we put ourselves in a certain type of emotional state and we live there, or we hang on to something for so long and it causes stress in our lives, and it can cause our cellular composition to actually be compromised, which is when cancer starts sneaking in the back door. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about stress in particular today, but I'm not going to leave you hanging out there. We're not just going to say stress causes cancer, although I'm not going to say that either. Stress causes cancer and that's it. I'm actually going to leave you with some action steps today. So if you watching this broadcast and you're thinking, oh, holy cancer, cancer, holy H, I do deal with a lot of stress. I'm going to leave you with some action steps today that will actually help reverse that idea and maybe help you get rid of some stress as well. So I'm not going to leave you hanging out there with no solutions today, but we are going to talk about stress in detail and how that relates to cancer. And tomorrow we're actually going to talk about the cancer personality, which sounds scary, right? That sounds really scary. When I say cancer personality, you're like, I have the personality I have and I can't change that. That's not true. We're going to talk about the cancer personality and people that are prone to certain types of cancers, and through the research that through the organization that I just finished I'm in my final step. I have to submit my final exam this week to be a certified holistic cancer coach. So if you think that I'm just out there whistling Dixie, I actually have been doing this for quite a while, but actually just going through my certification this past few months. I'm about 5 months into it right now, so since the beginning of the year. But today we're going to talk about the relationship between stress and cancer, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the cancer personalities and overwhelmingly what types of personalities and what types of cancers. And I guarantee you that I can identify with them. I'm going to use my own story today and tomorrow to share with you my own personal journey. So, all right, are we ready? Thank you. I'm actually, for those of you that are asking, I've been getting a lot of emails. I do one-on-one coaching. I will tell you, it is not cheap, number one, because you have to make a commitment to yourself, and it takes a lot of time, because when I do one-on-one coaching, it's not just like a phone call now and again where we're like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? It is in depth. I am up in your business. We are talking personal things. You have to be able to open up to me, and I need for you to make a commitment to yourself and to me that you want something different. And so I do one-on-one coaching. However, that is not the bulk of my business. If you watch my broadcast routinely, you will get really deep how-to steps about how to make your body inhospitable to cancer. Hi, Tony. Thank you for coming in from South Carolina. I think this is the first time I've ever seen you here. It's good to have you here. Hi, Scott. It's good to see you. So, and then coming up probably by the fall, I think in the fall we will be launching groups. So I will be launching groups. And by the way, my one-on-one counseling is not for everybody. I prioritize, if you have active cancer, I prioritize you in the wait list. So those people go first, I'm sorry to say. If you're working on reducing reoccurrence risk, then those people go next. And then if you're working on prevention, those people go after that. But I do have a solution coming up in the fall. We will be releasing there'll be small groups, about 10 people each for about 6 weeks. There'll be a 6 weeks course that you will go to. One will be for prevention, which is the best cure, is preventing it in the first place. The second one is going to be for people with active cancer. If you have active cancer, there'll be about 10 people in that group. And then the third one will be people that are interested in preventing reoccurrences or lowering the risk for reoccurrences. And so, so we will have those groups launching in the fall. We'll have more information coming out about that and some webinars that will launch later this summer. Okay. Now you know how to get information. GoToKitchens.com is the website, by the way. Now you know how to get the information. Let's talk about stress. So I want you to tell me on a scale from 1 to 10, okay? 1 being I don't have any stress. I am so not a stress cadet. To 10 being I am a total stress cadet. It's crazy town how stressed that I feel all the time. So on a scale from 1 to 10, I want you to type in. I want you to type in where you fall in on that scale. 7. Okay, awesome. Thank you for your honesty, Sandy. I appreciate that. 3, 4. Awesome. I love it. Good for you, Sherry. 7, 4. Ooh, lots of 4s. 1. I love it. 5 to 6. 8, 4, 8, 2, 5. 5 most days. I know, we all have 10 days. We all have 10 days. Estella says 6 over here on Facebook. 8, 5, 7. Okay, so a lot of you have middle to moderate stress levels is what I would consider that, right? So you have some stress in your life. 4, I love it. So I put myself on that level, I put my personal self on that level in the middle. I probably constantly sit at about a 4 or 5 all the time. So I'm not a no stress, but I am not a super stressed cadet. Now, pre-cancer, I have to tell you that I probably would have put myself to an 8 or 9. I was probably an 8 or 9, and like Janie said, some 10 days, maybe more 10 days than I wanted to admit. Tony says she's an 8, or yes, an 8. Okay, so thank you guys for your honesty, by the way. I want you to be honest with yourself. It's not so much you being honest with me. This is never about you being honest with me. This is always about you being honest with yourself. Okay? So no matter what number you typed in, it's about you being honest with yourself. And by the way, if you want to grab a piece of paper today, it might be a good day to take some notes. If you don't normally, your husband 10. So if you don't normally take notes, today might be a great day to jot down some thoughts. Because what I'm going to tell you today is something that is powerful and can change your thought processes about how you deal with stress. Okay? So the first thing that I want you to write down is write down your stress score. From a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are on that score? Okay? Thank you guys. Thank you so much for sharing out. I appreciate that, Sonia. By the way, I didn't say that. You can share out here on Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. I would appreciate it if you did that. It helps me further my message. So helping me help millions of people is simply by you sharing these broadcasts. On Facebook, you can share out on Facebook, which I would appreciate as well. Maybe you never know whose life you might affect today by sharing this information out with your family and friends. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Okay. So I sit at about a 4 or 5. Now then, having said that, you may be going, really, Leslie, you're a 4 or 5? Some of you might have assumed that I would think that I was a 1 or 2, that I live like this perfectly charmed life because all you see is what I tell you on Facebook. What I don't tell you about is the money stress and running 3 businesses out of my house. We're about to open a 4th, so we run 3 businesses out of our home, and I am responsible for all the bookkeeping for all of those businesses. We don't have a bookkeeper. I do it myself. So I'm responsible for all of that. Plus I have a household to run. Plus I have a body that I have to live in an anti-cancer lifestyle, which takes work and commitment, right? I have to assume, do I need employees? Yes, I just can't afford them yet. Yet. I'm on a path though. I'm on a path to having employees. But excuse me, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Excuse me just a second. But having an anti-cancer body means that I have to be responsible for cooking for myself, that I have to make sure that I am enforcing these relaxation techniques that we're going to talk about a little bit later today, that I am taking care of my husband and my relationship with my husband, that I'm paying attention to my family, that I'm paying attention to my spiritual needs, that I'm paying attention that my herbs get watered outside, that I pay attention that I don't kill my poodle because I forgot to feed her for 4 days or something like that. I don't know. But I think that most people honestly live at about a 4 or 5. And I am not saying that because that's where I'm at. I'm just saying that because of the evaluation that I've done with many people so far as we think about stress. And I will tell you that a lot of cancer patients will sit in that 8 or 9. Now, I was sitting 8, 9, or 10. I lived in the 8, 9s, or 10s prior to my diagnosis. And I have to tell you, and I don't tell you that if you put in 8, 9, or 10, I don't tell you that to scare you. I am telling you that it's time to check it. If you put in 8, 9, or 10, it's time to check what's going on, because that is not a healthy stress level. That is not a healthy stress level, and it leaves the door open for all kinds of disease, not just cancer, but it leaves the door open for all kinds of disease, okay? So managing a lifestyle can be stressful. I know people that get stressed out about trying to live an anti-cancer lifestyle, right? How many of you have been down that road? Now, I know a lot of you live an anti-cancer lifestyle and have been living it for a while, but how many of you at the beginning of your journey actually had stress because you were trying to live a lifestyle that was healthy and good for you, right? I mean, let's just be honest. I had, right? Janie's like, one, I know, totally. Totally sweating it out. Totally sweating it out. I had that totally. I turned into a major stress cadet over the food that I was eating. I thought that everything I was putting in my mouth was going to kill me. I was like, oh my God, if I eat that, I'm going to get cancer again. Everything. I mean, it just felt like I couldn't eat anything. And so that alone created so much stress. It created so much stress. Right? And so that is pretty normal at the beginning of a journey. And I see that a lot, because, your journey has to start somewhere. And I am fortunate enough to see a lot of journeys start. And I see that happening. And it's one of the first things that I address. I let them go on for a couple of weeks. And then I'm like, look, we need to check your stress levels about what you're putting in your body, because that's what you're putting in your body is probably not as dangerous as the stress you were incurring about what you're putting in your body. So, right? Your psoriasis acts up. That's exactly right, Estella. I'm going to use Robin as an example today about that same kind of idea. His is not psoriasis, but about that same kind of idea. So Estella on Facebook, for those of you that are on Periscope, says, I know when my stress is high, my psoriasis acts up. That is, your skin is your largest organ. So that would be very, very normal. And those are warning signs. I mean, our body throws us warning signs all the time, right? Okay. Goodbye. Right? You too. So Trista Dish is saying me too. Yeah. So our skin can be one of the major warning signs. I tell you guys all the time, if you ever see a breakout on my neck or on the sides of my face, if I have a major breakout, and it's there, it is because I'm stressed. It's not because of what I'm eating. It's because my stress levels are so high. And so your skin is one of your first outlets for detection, actually. Especially if your skin feels weak or compromised, it can show immediately signs of stress, for sure. Okay, so the big question today is, does stress cause cancer? So the answer to that question, I should wait to answer it. No, I'm going to answer it now. The answer to that question is not directly. Thank God, right? Thank God that that's the case. Not directly. No, I have tons of financial worries. I have tons of food worries. Absolutely. It's not all. There's just some stress level, right? Okay. So cancer is a mutated fungus. Actually, cancer is a mutated cellular structure. Fungus can be present, but anyway, okay. That's not what we're talking about today, though. What we are talking about today is what happens when we get stressed out. So cancer is not caused by stress directly, because if that were the case, then the epidemic that we are experiencing now would even be bigger. Right? It would even be bigger than we are already experiencing, because cancer is at an all-time high. It is an epidemic. They put out these cancer numbers. Oh, we've lowered the number. Not exactly, because the new cases of cancer rises every single year. And so the war against cancer is not very effective. So I want you to forget about the war against cancer, and I want you to think about it as a personal thing, right? This is personal. This is not has to do with anybody else except for you. Okay? This doesn't have to do with anybody else except for you. Cancer is personal. So, yes, it's true. They did just come out with that. I need to fully address that. I haven't done that yet. I did a little bit on Friday last week, but not totally. I need to come on and do an official broadcast about the coconut oil thing. Okay. So what does stress do in the body? So when I say that it doesn't cause it directly, what does stress do in the body? So stress does these things. When you get stressed out, and I'm talking about temporary stress or chronic stress being the most dangerous kind of stress, and temporary stress being incredibly normal. You know, you get a flat tire on the highway, your stress level elevates, right? Your stress level elevates and you experience a shot of cortisol because you get stressed out because you got a flat tire. Now the problem is the chronic stress that comes with worrying about all the time that you might get a flat tire, right? I'm always worried, and I'm just using this as an example, by the way, but I'm always worried that I'm going to get a flat tire, and it stresses me out, and I've been living with that stress for the last 10 years since the last time I got a flat tire, okay? That is chronic stress. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along. But what does stress do in the body? Number one, they say there's a scientific study out, and I need to find the resource for this, and at some point I will, but there's a scientific study out that says that as soon as the person hears the word cancer, as soon as we hear you have cancer, which is the scariest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I've never been more scared in my entire life until my doctor says it's cancer. I had been fearing cancer my entire life because it took me down. It took me down to a level that was almost unrecoverable. I was so scared and so just not in shock even, but just I was petrified to my bones. I couldn't even function. For like 2 months, I couldn't function. It scared me so bad. So stress or fear or anything that is surrounded by that, here's what it does in the body. Number one, if somebody is told that there's a scientific study that says that their immune system drops by 50% immediately. No, wait, hold up. Hold up. So if somebody says to me that it's cancer, that my immune system drops when I need my immune system to actually boost me through the cancer process, they say it drops by 50%. If that is a long-term struggle, it can, it can drop the immune system by 75% going into a chronic stress state over 2 months, which you need your immune system to fight cancer. Our immune systems are what actually help battle back cancer daily, routinely in our bodies. So it inhibits immune function is probably the biggest takeaway there, is that stress will inhibit your immune function. So if you're living at an 8, 9, or 10 and you're constantly getting a cold, like every time somebody even sneezes around you, you end up with the cold, all right? That is your body signaling you, hey, hello, something's going on over here. If you suffer from undiagnosed aches and pains all the time, if you are lethargic or you don't have any energy and you can't figure out what's going on, you need to check that stress level and you need to find the source of it, because that is compromising your immune function. Number two, it wreaks havoc on our glandular system. I hate that word, glandular. Does anybody like that word, glandular? What is up with that word? So we're going to call it the endocrine system, which is your glandular system in your body. Now, this is responsible for anti-stress, right? Yes, it does. It does. Absolutely. It absolutely does. Right? I know it's a terrible word, glandular. But we're going to call it our endocrine system, which is what it's called. So our endocrine system is actually a series of glands in the body that have particular things that they do. And one of the things that they do is it regulates our adrenal glands. Now, our adrenal glands are responsible for our fight or flight response. Okay? So we have a fight or flight response. So we either run away, right? Or we put up our dukes and we go for it, right? So our adrenal glands are responsible for that. Now you can imagine in chronic stress, right? You can imagine in chronic stress that your adrenal gland is working all the time. It is in overload and you totally stress that adrenal gland out, and that begins to show you symptoms in your body. Anxiety, depression, a lethargy, a lack of energy, having an apathetic attitude where you just don't really give a rip about anything, right? So no, there was no pain associated with mine. My lump was very palpable on the side of my breast right here. You could actually feel it. And it was about the size of the end of my pinky, just a little over 1 centimeter. But it wreaks havoc on that endocrine system, which includes your adrenal system, your thyroid, which can trigger weight gain and unexplained weight gain. It can trigger, again, lethargy. It can apathetic. All of those things are tied to both of those systems. Your prostate gland, if you're a male, your prostate gland, which may lead to erectile dysfunction. It may lead to a lack of sex drive altogether. I mean, it's serious. It's serious. And then our lymphatic system, which is a glandular system throughout our body as well, that is pumping out toxins. Now, if that is compromised and we're going to get to stress relief. I promise you, I'm not just going to scare the pants off of you and then not give you any suggestions about how to deal with stress. I promise. So hang with me through this broadcast. I promise you. But we have our lymphatic system, which is responsible for moving toxins out of the body. And if it can't do its job because because it's fighting stress all the time, then we're not moving toxins out of our body effectively. And remember, your lymphatic system is more fluid than blood. You have more lymph fluid than blood, except your lymphatic system does not have a pump. So you're responsible for moving that lymphatic system. But stress can attack that lymphatic system as well. So the stress hormone that we think about, and Scott said it over here, most of all is cortisol. Cortisol can cause all kinds of problems. How many of you have seen the commercial for if you have belly fat, then you may have excess cortisol, right? Right? So how many have seen that? How many have seen that commercial? Yes. Okay. So a lot of you are saying yes, right? So that has to do mostly with the attack on your thyroid gland. Okay. So if our thyroid is not functioning, we may see excess weight in our belly, in our butts, in our thighs, especially if you're a woman. We see excess weight gain in those areas because maybe your thyroid is not functioning properly. Sometimes it is not because you're hypo or hyper or whatever it is. Thyroid, it has to do with your stress levels, and reducing that stress level can actually help perpetuate a healing in that thyroid gland. And a lot of glands in the body, right? A lot of them. So that stress hormone cortisol, when it takes over and it lives there for a long time. Tony's saying her thyroid was moved in 2011. That creates its own struggles, removing the thyroid as well. So, right? Lord. Every once in a while I catch a comment and I'm like, what are you doing here? It's summertime and the children are out of school and they need to give their phones back to their mothers. Right? So, just saying. Oh, goodness. Yes. But that stress hormone cortisol can overtake and overpower, especially when we're living in a chronic state of stress. Now then, every once in a while your cortisol is going to rise because you looked at your checkbook and you made a $200 error. I mean, I am not saying that I did that. Okay, I totally did that. I made a $200 error. It immediately made my cortisol rise. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do with that $200, right? But the problem would be actually is if I wouldn't allow myself to let that go. The real problem of it all is that it's already happened and there's nothing I can do about it, right? It's already happened. So now I have to pick up the pieces of the $200 that I thought I had that I don't have anymore, right? I have to pick up the pieces of that and figure out how to make up for the mistake that I made. Instead of sitting and stressing about the mistake that I made, oh my God, you're so stupid. I can't believe you did that, blah, blah, blah. It's about picking up the pieces of the mistake and learning where I made the mistake so that I don't make it again. right? So that is the difference between chronic stress, having stress, let it stress me out for weeks and days and days and days, and oh my gosh, I lost $200 and I don't know what to do with that $200, and letting it wake me up at night and all those kinds of things, instead of just going, well, that really sucked. I need to figure out how I'm going to make up that $200 now. Right? Taking action. That's right. That's the difference there. All right. So the other thing that it does, stress does in our bodies, that again doesn't create cancer but leaves a fertile field for cancer, is it changes our pH level. So when you release the cortisol hormone, actually your body goes from a, if you're living in an alkaline state, it would go from an alkaline state to an acidic state almost immediately. So chronic stress means that you're probably living in a chronic acid body. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about your, I want you to think about people who suffer from stomach ulcers, right? So they suffer from, a lot of people that have chronic stress suffer from acid reflux. You hear about them suffering from acidic things that are happening in the body. So the stomach ulcer, the acid reflux, the heartburn, those things, the spasms in the esophagus, those things are all related to an acidic state in the body. Okay, so those things are related from an acidic state in the body. And so when we suffer from chronic stress, not temporary stress, sometimes temporary stress, depends on how long it lasts, but we actually put our body in an acidic state, which leaves the door open. Cancer loves an acidic body. Let's just say that. Cancer loves an acidic body and it hates an alkaline body. So you want to check those stress levels and make sure that you're living in an alkaline body. That does not mean go out and drink alkaline water. That is not the solution to this problem. Living in an alkaline state means that you're eating lots of vegetables and half of them raw. If you want to live in an alkaline state, you will eat lots of vegetables and you will eat across the rainbow and you will eat most of them raw, right? Right? I know you don't want that, especially Claudia over on Facebook is a singer and she doesn't want the acid reflux. That is no good for your vocal cords or anything else for that matter, right? Okay, so another thing that it does is it allows for the creation. Now listen closely what I'm about to say. It allows for the creation and the proliferation of free radicals. Now free radicals are those cellular like destructors. Free radicals are some things we can't help. Right now, I am sitting outside in actually pretty clean air today, but if it was a smoggy red alert smog day, which we get here in northern Colorado, it's actually quite beautiful outside today. The sky is really blue and it looks very clean outside. But if I was sitting out here in a red alert day, right, my body would be being attacked by things that I cannot control. Those kinds of things are cellular destructors in our bodies, and they're free radicals. Now, I can't control that, but I can control what I put in my mouth. So if I was sitting out here all day long in that, and then I went and had a McDonald's hamburger, then I am adding to the toxic load that my body is taking. But if I'm sitting here and then I go inside and I have some broccoli for lunch or a nice salad, a nice green raw salad or something like that, then I'm actually aiding in destroying the free radicals instead of the free radicals destroying me. Now, cortisol actually can contribute to the creation. Our bodies can create free radicals and the proliferation of free radicals. And those are things that you do not want in your body. And I wish that they would rename them because they sound fake. Because free radicals sounds like a cartoon character. I know, dang radicals, that's how I feel about them too. Stupid old dang old radicals. But free radicals sounds like a cartoon character. Why can't we rename them? Why can't they have some fancy pants name? I think that they tried to make them sound very human, right? And I'm like, can we have something that is a little more scary than free radical? I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay. So, right? It totally does. The free radicals. I love the free radicals. Rock on, free radicals. Oh gosh, right? I know. It's totally funny. I know, exactly. So, Why is my face getting red? My face is not getting red. It could be getting red because it's bleeding hot out here. It's like 90 degrees, but my face is not getting red. Okay. I know, stupid, weird name. I totally agree, Scott. Better than expensive radicals, right? Luxury radicals. Like you don't want it to say that. The luxury radicals. Okay. The dangerous radicals. I know, something else. The cancer-causing radicals. How about that? Oh, yes. Okay. So, I guess one of my biggest points here today is that it may not be what you're eating. It could be what's eating you. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share a little case study with you. Now, I can't share names or anything like that because everybody that I work with one-on-one, it's private. You would never know the people that I was working with one-on-one unless they wanted you to know. I would never, ever. And most of the time, it's kept very personal and private because it's a personal and private journey. But I just want to share a case study with you that I've been working on for a little while. I have a person that it's a woman. She is an incredibly, incredibly healthy eater and has been since childhood. She was actually raised. She was raised to be someone who ate very healthy. Tons of vegetables, tons of real food, been eating really, really well her entire life. Probably the healthiest person I knew. I get a phone call one day and it's her. She's like, I need help. And I said, what's going on? I could hear the fear in her voice. I said, what's going on? And she said, I need help. I just was at the doctor and you're the only person that knows this. And I was just diagnosed with breast cancer. Wait, no. And I have to tell you that the selfish part of me, and she wouldn't mind me saying this either. In fact, I've said it to her before. But the selfish part of me went, wait a second, you're the healthiest person I know. And if you're the healthiest person I know, how in the world could you get breast cancer? Because you've been eating well. You've been living in a healthy, I mean, she's like marathon runner and she's, she's a triathlete and she's beautiful and she's amazing example of health. And she got breast cancer. Not only did she get breast cancer, it was stage 3B, which is right before stage 4, which they consider inoperable and uncurable and all those kinds of nasty words, right? She was scared to death and embarrassed. She was incredibly embarrassed that she had breast cancer. And so we began to talk, and as we began to talk, I told her, I said, I would like to officially coach you, which is going to be one of the hardest things that I've ever done, because not only are we friends, but I have always looked up to you as a mentor, as an eating mentor, as a lifestyle mentor. I have used you as examples. And this is going to be difficult for me, but I would like to coach you through this. And she said, okay. And so I've been working with her now. We are going into about 7 months right now of working. And I'll tell you the outcome in just a second. So hang on to your britches for that. Yes, I only speak English. And so I wish I spoke another language. That would be awesome if I did, but I don't, unfortunately. I only speak English. If I spoke another language, it would be Italian, which then you still couldn't understand me, and so we'd still be in trouble. But anyway, okay. So, but it was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. And actually, without thinking, I said, I want to do a patient intake with you, and let's see if I can help you. And she said, okay. And so I did a patient intake, or a client, or whatever you want to call it. I hate patient because I'm not a doctor. She's a client, really. And so I did a client intake with her. And we started talking about things that I didn't know about her, actually. We're pretty good friends, and I did know a couple of things about her. And one of the things that came to surface in about 4 weeks after we had been meeting every single week, and after about 4 weeks, one of the things that had come to light was the pressure that she put on herself to be a certain type of person. And guess what kind of person that was? The kind of person that I looked up to be the healthiest person that I knew, to be the healthiest person that anybody knew. Right? Yep. You're exactly right, Sherry. to be the healthiest person that anybody knew. That was actually a stated goal in her mind. She had actually made a resolution to be the healthiest person that anybody knew. And in that light, thank you, Courtney, you're exactly right. In that light, to be perfect. For us all to look up to. So that we had something to aspire to. She was always like, you would be like the best triathlete, you would be, and I'm not interested in that. That does not float my boat at all. But she's like, you're a great swimmer, you love to bike, you know, and I don't really love to run, although I do run. But she's like, you would be so great at it, and you should train, I could train you, and you'd be so awesome at it, you know. But she was always there, right? To be the healthiest person that we all knew. Now, I live in a community that is big. It is big on healthy. In fact, going up in the mountains this weekend, there were hundreds of bicyclists riding up the mountain, going from like 5,000 feet to 10,000 feet on their bicycles in a very short period span of miles. So it's just a straight climb up the mountain. And so I live in a community of healthy people, and there is some pressure that is associated with that. Don't be fooled. There's some pressure that is associated with that. And so as we begin to unfold that perception, as we begin to unfold that idea, we ultimately came up with that this is causing you a lot of chronic stress. When she would get a cold, she would hide. She wouldn't let anybody know that she had a cold. She had a cold sore one day on her lip, and I said something about it, and she was like, oh no, that's just a zit, I must have eaten something wrong. But she had an actual cold sore, which is a sign that your immune function is not exactly correct. And so she was stressing herself out trying to be the healthiest person that we all knew, and that stress was more dangerous than the food that she was eating. And she was eating perfectly food. I mean, again, I look up to her. So sometimes, I tell you all that to tell you that sometimes it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. That's not my line, by the way. I wish I'd thought of that. What a beautiful thing to say. But sometimes it's not what you're eating, but it's what's eating you. The stress that you are putting on yourself to be a certain way, to have certain things, to be certain things, right? It's dangerous. Those types of things are dangerous. So, I could not help her further. To be completely honest with you, I could not help her any further because I'm not a psychiatrist. Not a psychiatrist, and she needed a psychiatrist. She needed somebody to help her work through that. Ultimately, what came out of that is she discovered that this comes from childhood. She discovered that the pressure to be a certain way came from her childhood. And so she doesn't blame her parents for it. She actually put that pressure on herself. She wanted to be an athlete in school. She wanted to be the best athlete in school. Her parents could care less. It was just her that was putting all that pressure on her. So as she worked through that, as she worked through those ideas, right, of living in the perfect body, having the perfect body, she actually did nothing to the cancer. She let the cancer stay there. They wanted to remove both of her breasts. She wanted to go completely holistic. This is the kind of woman that she is. Actually, she wanted to go completely natural. Holistic means something different. She wanted to treat her cancer naturally, so she went through psychotherapy, and she's doing great, by the way. And she's still a triathlete, and she's still a runner, and she's still a biker, and she's still a swimmer, and she still does all the things that she's always done, but that persona of having to be perfect has been shed off of her. And she's a different person. She's so light and so not intense anymore, but still this totally amazing human being. And so as she began to shed that off, that having to be a certain way off of her, we actually began to see the cancer regress. It was always stable. In those few months, it had never grown, and she was getting regular screenings, because if you don't do anything, your doctor is going to want to see the cancer often. And so every 6 weeks, she was having a screening to make sure. And she promised them that if it grew, that she would think about medical care for this. But what we saw actually was a regression. It stayed stable for a really long time. And then she went for a scan one day and they were like, it is slightly smaller. Slightly. It's still there. She still has cancer, but it's slightly smaller. So it is actually stabilized in her body. Now she may live with this tumor in her breast for the rest of her life. She didn't have any work to do on her health. Her food, the way that she ate was doing fine. But she was eating herself from the inside out with the stress that she was incurring. It's a very powerful story. It's a very, very powerful story. So sometimes it is not what you're eating, but what's eating you. It was a total breakthrough, Claudia. Complete breakthrough. Complete breakthrough. So that's one case study that I want to share with you. So I want you guys to do a little work on yourself. Isn't it amazing, Tony? It's totally amazing. I want you to do a little work on yourself, and then I'm going to tell you my story. So I want you to do a little work for yourself, and I want you can share here or you can share on a piece of paper. I would love, love, love for you to, and you know what, Sherry, by all standards, she's not cured because she still has cancer. She still has the cancer in her body, and she may always have it there, but it is not growing, and certainly at the last scan had regressed slightly. Yeah. So sometimes it's not the emphasis on curing cancer. It's the emphasis on keeping cancer moderated, right? Keeping it moderated inside the body so that it's not doing anything destructive inside the body. And only time will tell what happens to her down the road, but I can tell you right now that she is a happier, healthier human being than she's ever been. And tomorrow I will tie those two together and show you about the breast cancer personality, which I fall into completely, the breast cancer personality, and how that ties to her story. I think you'll find it fascinating. No, I am not a doctor, thank God. I couldn't talk to you about these things if I was a doctor. They're so regulated by the medical system. There's no way that I could share these things with you if I were a doctor, right? So I want you to do a little work on yourself, and I want you to either write down at home or type in here what you think. This is very liberating what I'm about to ask you to do. I'm about to ask you to do something that can be very liberating if you choose for it to be. And so I want you to do this, and I want you to type down or write down either at home or right here, 1, 2, and 3, your top 3 stressors in your life. I want you to write down the top 3 things that you think are causing you stress in your life. 1, 2, and 3. 1 being the worst, 2, 3. You can either type them in here or you can write them down. Now I'm going to tell you my 3. And my 3 are this. Number 1, my number 1 stressor is so annoying. It annoys me to no end, and I wish I didn't have to have it to survive, but you do have to have it to survive, and I have a blockage with it that I'm actually working on right now. And that is money. It's my number 1 stressor. Money is my number 1 stressor. And the reason is I am traffic. I love it. Thank you for your honesty. And all 3, traffic. That's very interesting, right? Organize, money, kids. Yeah. Love, money, and trust. Interesting. Yeah. Top 3 stressors. Money, family, job. Thank you guys for your honesty. Politics. It's one of the things I have on my list, actually. Social media. Thank you for your honesty. I love that. Medical conditions, finances, and people around me. Yeah. Packing to move. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah. Money, family, job. Interesting. You can see we all have very common stressors, right? We all have very, very common stressors in our lives. So number 1 for me is money. That's number 1. And the second stress comes from the lack of money, and that is I don't care. I don't want to be rich. And I have enough money to survive. My husband and I make enough money to live a life that we want to live. In fact, if I quit doing what I'm doing today, we would have more money because I wouldn't be pouring so much money into my business of Go-To Kitchens. But my lack of money that I'm experiencing comes to number 2 and causes my second stressor, and that is the lack of money to do the things that I want to do to help more people. So I want to reach millions of people, and to reach millions of people, I need millions of dollars. It's just simple as that. Not to line my own pockets, but to help people. I want to help people. So my second stress comes from the lack of this causes this thought process of I can't help enough people because I don't have enough money, which is very limiting beliefs for me. And then my number 3 stress is actually all tied into all of those, which is the is running the finances of all 3 of the businesses, which I choose to do. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I love that you're just sharing these so openly. Right? Time is more important than money. I agree with that. And I've invested a lot of time and I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep on. That's exactly what I'm doing actually, is investing my time and trying not to stress, right? Trying not to stress the money. Post-traumatic from stress, money, husband, and family. Very interesting. From your own cancer or from somebody else's cancer? Is that from your, I don't know who that was, from your own cancer or from somebody else's cancer? Interesting. Yeah. Time, money, husband. Yep. Mine, your own cancer. Okay. All right. Yeah. I asked that question because my husband actually had post-traumatic stress from my cancer. So, so I totally get that. I understand how that could be so easily. Love, money, and trust. Yeah. Very interesting. In that order too. Yeah. Issues from having lupus many years. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you, Tony, for your honesty. I appreciate that. Yeah. Money. Money's a big one. So we all need it to survive, right? We all have to have it because if we're going to eat well, we're going to take care of ourselves. It requires resources. It requires resources. Your future. That's very interesting. Thank you, Julie, for that. Perfectionism, future, and family. That's very, very interesting. So we all require resources to survive. I know, we all stress over the same things, which should actually all make us feel a little bit better. I mean, in some ways, it should all make us feel a little bit better that we all have these very normal stressors, right? No money because of chronic illness. Yeah, that happens a lot. I see that a lot. I'm sorry to see that. I'm sorry to hear that as well. Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult. So here's some things that I wrote down that could be a source of stress if you're having a block, like you're like, I don't know what it is, and you didn't want to type them in here. So some of the things that the most common are job, spouse, children, money, sickness, family, politics. Somebody said that actually. Your house can be causing some stress. Your home, your responsibilities of your home. Having a feeling of hopelessness can cause a lot of stress. It just feels hopeless, like nothing's ever going to change. That feeling of hopelessness is actually school. That's interesting. Yeah. So there are some things in our lives also, and trust me, I'm getting to a point here, so you guys bear with me. Bear with me. There are some things in our life that are, and I can't individually talk about each one of the things that you guys typed in, unfortunately, but there are some things in our lives that are stress, that are good stress. So can somebody type in, I'd love to hear an example of good stress. Now you've probably never thought about this, but I want you to think of an example of good stress. So, let's type in some examples of what some good stresses are in our lives. I am well, thank you. Kids, right? Good stress. I agree with you. Yeah. Meeting someone. I love that. Working out. Yes, that could definitely be a good stress, for sure. Yeah, unless you're putting too much pressure on yourself to work out. Playing games. I love that. Exercise. Pets. Absolutely. Traveling. That's a really good one. I love that, Pam. Family. Yes. Yes. Stress is good. Yes, it can be good. Vacation. Yeah. Hiking. Hiking can be stressful, right? I totally agree with you. Getting ready to go camping this weekend was a little bit stressful. Woo, Cottonwood, right? Waiting for a concert, anticipation, absolutely. Yes, getting that anticipation for something can be a little bit stressful as well. Starting a career, I love that. Absolutely, Scott, absolutely. Hanging around friends can be stressful. I agree with you, but it's also a good thing as well. Packing to move. Yes, it's a good and bad stress. Like you're excited to move, but then there's the stress of packing. Kids' pool party. I love it, Janie. Absolutely. Aging. Actually, that would actually be an example of bad stress. but I mean, I guess it could be. I actually look forward to being a little bit older and wiser in my life. The older I get, the wiser I feel. So I'm like, dang, how good is it going to be when I'm like 80? I'm going to be so smart at 80. So graduation, those are all good, all good. Roller coaster rides, that's right, Tony, I love that. All right, so you guys are nailing it. You're nailing it. These are all amazing. Going to social engagement, a wedding, absolutely, Scott, love it. Yes, getting pregnant, having a baby is absolutely right. Saw my age progression. Well, that was like name test, so I'm not putting too much value in that, but right. I love it, right? Eating good food. Our diets can be a little stressful sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah. Aw, congratulations to you, Tony. That's amazing. Now that is an anticipation. We're going to talk about anticipation a little bit too. Anticipation, there's a saying that anticipation is better than acquisition. And there is some truth to that. But the anticipation of something beautiful, we're going to talk about that actually as a stress reliever. So hang with me. We're going to actually talk about that. Dating is stressful, absolutely. Being in a relationship with a husband or wife can actually be a little stressful, but good at the same time. Yeah. All right. So, like the bad events, right? Like the stressful events, we have these alternate stress events that are good stress. Now, the types of good stress are going to be ultimately temporary, right? They're going to be a temporary source of stress, but nevertheless a source of stress. But there is a way to harness that good stress and use it towards the bad stress that we encounter. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we go along here. So here's a healthy pattern of stress, okay? So this is a healthy pattern. So we talk about those good stresses, right? Here's a healthy pattern. Oh no, my daughter's getting married. Phew, my daughter got married. Back to normal, right? So you have an oh no, you have a phew, that happened, it was great, I loved it, or whatever, and now it's over. Or, oh no, I cut my finger. I went and had my finger stitched up, my finger is healed, life is normal again. Okay, Chris can relate to that. Who's not here? He can't be here live because he's swimming in the afternoons and his schedule changed. But if you watch the mandolin incident, okay. Anyway, whatever. So, but those are healthy responses to stress. Okay, those are healthy. So, oh no, that just happened. Whew, I'm glad that's over. Life back to normal. Okay. The dangerous side of stress is oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no, breakdown, right? So we have a series of bad things happen to us, right? We have a series of bad things happen to us and then we experience a breakdown. That is chronic stress. And I have to tell you that all roads to chronic stress leads to a breakdown at some point. And that will manifest itself in a retraction from society. That will manifest itself in depression. That will manifest itself in apathy. That will manifest itself in anger. That will manifest itself in lack of gumption or lack of or being completely withdrawn. That will manifest itself in not having any energy. It will manifest itself in so many ways. Now then, sometimes life throws punches at us one after another. I have, again, another case study. I have someone, I won't go into detail like I did before, but I had somebody who lost a job, lost a husband, lost a mom, and lost a dad, all in 6 months. I'm not even kidding. 6 months after that, she had cancer. So life banged her up. I mean, literally banged her up. And then cancer manifested itself. And it's because she never had a moment to recover. Yeah, it was awful. It was awful. And I asked her one question. I was like, why do you think you had cancer? She's like, oh, I know why I have cancer. And I was like, you do? Because most people don't. They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what is it? And she told me, and I was like, what the what? That is crazy town. And she's like, I know. And then I get cancer. And I was like, that is crazy. That's crazy. Then I know somebody else who lost a father, lost a wife, and then about 6 months after that, within the year, had cancer. I see it a lot. I see it a lot in the people that I work with, right? Your father died of cancer of the blood. I'm so sorry to hear that. My heart goes out to you completely. Can I just say one thing to you though? And that is, sometimes when our loved ones, especially when our mother or father dies or is diagnosed with cancer, we accept that as our destiny. And I just am here to tell you that cancer is not your destiny. You believe your divorce gave you cancer. Yeah. I can totally get behind that. You do not want cancer, right? Me either. Me either. You had a frog die of cancer and you knew that? Yeah. Yes, our condolences. Our condolences to you, for sure. Yeah, stressing from it. No, stress does not directly give you cancer. Go back and watch replay, but we'll talk about it. We'll recap here in just a second. So, I guess the biggest question to ask yourself always is when you enter into a time, and we will all enter a time in our lives when it's one hit after another, right? The punches keep rolling. It's like you can't get away from it, like one thing after another. That's why we have that saying, bad things happen in threes, like, and then you get the third one off and you're like, whew, thank God. You know, so bad things happen in threes. There's some truth to that sometimes. I mean, it's not scientific or anything, but there is some ideas behind that could be the case. But it is unhealthy to be in that oh no breakdown. Because typically after that breakdown, we see some sort of health breakdown as well. It may not manifest itself as cancer. It could manifest itself as an autoimmune. It could manifest itself in some other type of disease or trouble within the body itself. And that's just because of the bombardment of the stress that comes from those scenarios of oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I don't tell you this just to scare you. What I do tell you this is to do a check within. Right? To do a within, to look down deep and to do a check within and ask yourself, are you stressed? Are you de-stressed? Distressed. And I don't mean de-stressed like unstressed. I mean, are you stressed? Are you distressed? Distressed. I can't say it right. You know what I mean. Are you stressed? Are you in distress? Because that in distress can be very, very dangerous. And if you're in distress, what's the first thing that you should do when you're in distress? Call for help. If you're in distress, if you have an emergency, what do? You call for help. Okay? I called Leslie. Well, you could call me. It's true. Right? I'm going to give you some tips on beating stress in just a second. So the ultimate question is, does stress cause cancer? And the answer is not directly, but inadvertently, it can leave a very fertile field for cancer. It can make your body hospitable to cancer. So sometimes it's not what you're eating, but what's eating you. Now, my own personal story goes like this. As a young adult, I put a lot of pressure on myself to be something more than I was, because for my entire childhood growing up, I was made to feel, not by my parents. My parents are amazing. They always told me I could do anything and be anything that I wanted to be, and that if I wanted to be a freaking rocket scientist, why do we say rocket scientist is always like the best, like smartest people? But if I wanted to be a rocket scientist, that I could do anything that I wanted to do. But society told me different, and I lived in a culture of, especially when I was growing up in the early 70s, where parents began to put certain pressures on their children to be certain ways and to be certain things. Now, that pressure was not coming from my parents. It was actually coming from the society that I lived in. So from kindergarten all the way through 5th grade, this is how far back it goes for me, I felt like I was stupid. I could not figure out school at all. I could not, every time I thought I had it figured out, I didn't have it figured out. And I would cry. This is going to make me cry now, but I would cry and bawl and scream and beg my mother not to make me go to school. I hated it so bad. And it wasn't because kids were making fun of me. It's because I was making fun of myself. I had lots of friends. If you want to say popular, I was actually pretty popular. But I couldn't do the work. I didn't understand what they wanted me to do. I was so confused about what they wanted me to do. So by the time I got to sixth grade, my parents took me out of public schools and put me into a private school, which was a private Catholic school. Now, we're not Catholic, but my parents were told that this was going to be the best place for me because it was small classes. It was one of the only private schools in the area where we lived. And so my parents put me in private school. They could not afford it. They could not afford to put me in private school, and I certainly wasn't going to get there on scholarship because I couldn't do the work. I mean, I barely made it through fifth grade without being held back grades because I couldn't figure out math, English, writing. All of those things were so confusing to me. I just didn't understand what they were trying to teach me. And so by the time that I got to sixth grade, I was in sixth grade in this private Catholic school, and I was getting a lot of attention, which I was really loving from my teachers, and they were taking time to sit down and explain to me. And so finally, about halfway through that sixth grade year, my teacher called my parents in. And Sister Mary Ellen, I had taken a series of tests, and I didn't know why I was taking them, but nobody else was taking them, but I was taking this series of tests that they were giving me specially, and I thought it's because I was because I couldn't figure anything out, and so they were giving me these tests because I couldn't take the real tests. This is actually how my little mind was thinking. And so I took this series of tests, and this went on for 3 or 4 weeks, and I would take one test a day for 3 or 4 weeks, and then ultimately they called me into the principal's office, and my mom and dad were sitting there, right? My mom and dad were sitting there. It was dyslexia. And so my mom and dad were sitting there, and I'll never forget it. And my teacher, who I can't remember her name, but Sister Mary Ellen, who was the principal of the school, who I'm sure is no longer with us. She was old then. She may be, but I doubt it. But she was sitting behind her desk, and they wore full habit. I mean, they were full nunned out. I mean, totally nunned out. And she was sitting there with a smile on her face. And I sit down, I look at my mom and dad, and I was like, "Am I in trouble?" And everybody was smiling, and they were like, "No, you're not in trouble." And so Sister Mary Ellen began to explain to my parents that I was dyslexic. And I looked at my mom and I was like, "Do I have a disease?" And my mom was like, "No, honey, you don't." It's gonna make me cry again. "You don't have a disease. You have a learning disability." You have a learning disability, and it's severe. You don't understand school, although you're very smart. Anytime we did anything orally where I was talking and I could give a presentation or something, I could do it like that. But sorry. But this caused me much stress for my entire life. I actually had to learn differently than everybody I knew, right? Yeah. I had to learn differently than everybody that I knew. And so I lived with this stress my entire life. My entire life. Even today, I live with this stress. I'm a writer. I'm writing a book, and I'm dyslexic. It's difficult. It's hard. It takes me twice as long to read anything than anybody else. And I'm not telling you this for poor me, for you to look at me and go, "Oh, poor you." I'm telling you this because I have lived with a lifelong anxiety that I'm just now getting a hold of. And so I know, because what I know about cancer, because what I know about nurturing and breast cancer, the nurturing wasn't coming from my parents. My parents were very nurturing. The nurturing came from not nurturing myself, from being a constant critic of myself. I know there's a lot of comments that I'm missing here. I just want to get this story out so I can stop crying. But I was a constant critic of myself. And breast cancer is actually, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, but breast cancer personality is actually very, very much that inner critic, that non-nurturing, that you are never good enough and that you're never going to be able to do that because you can't do it. Can you believe that? And so it manifests itself in the breast, which is the most nurturing part of a woman. Our breasts are our most nurturing part. It's where we give nourishment. It's where we care for our newborns that come to this planet, that are born into this world, right? And so I lived a life where I wasn't nurturing myself. And I tried all kinds of things to make me feel better throughout my life, and it led to some destructive patterns in my life, very, very destructive patterns in my early 20s, in my high school years. It led to some very destructive patterns where I was seeking from other people what I was not giving myself. And so now that I know what has happened to me, I know if somebody asks me what caused your cancer, I can actually put a finger on it. I caused my cancer. I caused it. The destructive patterns of not ever being enough. My friend, the example that I gave you, wanting to be the healthiest person that everybody knew. She put so much stress on herself that she wasn't really ever nurturing herself. She was never good enough. She always had to be better. And it manifests itself inside her breast. Interesting, isn't it? And now I'm teaching other people. That's right. That's right. Okay, crying over, back to what we're talking about here. Sorry about that. I just wanted to share my own personal story with you. Thank you guys for all the love, by the way. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. It is a gift. Actually now, knowing what I know about dyslexia and being dyslexic, and knowing this creative nature and this audible, I have this very audible gift that allows me to do what I do here with you guys. It's a very, it's something I didn't learn to write it down. I learned to speak it out. And so that's why live video is so powerful for me, because then I get to, that's why I deliver most of my content this way, is because then I get to speak it out with you guys instead of having to write it down. So thank you guys. Thank you for all the hugs. I take them all on individually. So now I know that it's a gift. So you're welcome, right? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you. We're among friends here. So does it cause it directly? No. But it does create an unavoidable biochemical change in the body that opens the door to cancer and makes your body certainly more hospitable to cancer. Certainly, for sure, for sure. All right, so I promised you I wouldn't leave you out there. So all of you that typed in the 7s and the 8s and even the 4s and the 5s, I want to share with you some methods today that will help you find a more relaxing space. Now, I have to tell you that I do not think that relaxed is the opposite of stressed. I love you, Pam. I do not think that relaxed is the opposite of stressed. Now, it may be technically, but I don't think that that's it. I still think that we can live in a state of awareness, because to relax to me means that you take your body to a point of almost a mindful mindfulness, a mindful mindlessness. And I still think that we can be productive and not be stressed. Because I think that our society tries to dictate in order to be productive that we need to be stressed, and I don't agree with that. So I don't agree that relaxed is actually the opposite word for stressed. I do believe that it is good to be relaxed sometimes, for sure, and I do believe that we need to take the time to find some relaxation techniques. But I want you to think about these as stress management techniques. And if you're ready, get out a pen and paper, and I'm going to share these with you. Right? You don't agree with that either. I know, it doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think that you need to be fully stressed to be good at what you do. Calm. That's a good word. I like calm. That's a good word, but that's kind of still relaxed, right? That's a new thought for you, right? Okay. So here's some ideas for you. A change of environment. Now I know a lot of you are like, well, I can't change the way that where I live and what I do, and I can't quit my job, and I have to have my job, and I can't do this, and I can't change that, and I can't do that. And there's no way that I can ever blah, 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 blah. Why? Why are you limiting yourself? I'm going to share one thing with you, and that is this. Your body still recognizes when you're making small steps towards a goal. So if you're making if you have a goal in mind, right? So your goal is to become an entrepreneur and let go of your corporate job. Hello, that was me. Is to become an entrepreneur and let go of your corporate job, okay? So I don't quit my job today and become an entrepreneur tomorrow. That's not how it works. How it works is I begin to lay the brickwork to become an entrepreneur. Right? I begin to take steps towards becoming an entrepreneur so that I can eventually quit my job. Now then, maybe it's retirement. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, whatever's causing you that stress, your body recognizes those small steps towards whatever that goal is. And when you get, right? When you get to that small step, when you take that first small step, it actually begins to relieve some of the stress that you're feeling. And as you make steps towards that goal, your body doesn't know the difference between reaching that goal and making steps towards that goal. Right? It's good to see you too. Thanks for being here. So just making the small steps towards the goal makes the joy come. See, to me, that's the opposite of stress. Joy is the opposite of stress because stress is not always so joyful. Some of it is. Having a baby, that's joyful, although it does bring stress. But having that joy, your body doesn't know, your mind doesn't know the difference between reaching that goal and making steps towards that goal. So start making steps towards that goal, whatever it is. So the change of environment, that is a big one. That is a big, yeah, quit your 9 to 5, right? Joy is the opposite of stress. That's what it feels like to me. Joy is the opposite of stress, not relaxation. Right? Thank you, David. Hi, David. It's good to see you. I didn't see you pop in. I was on a soapbox, though, so in crying. There's been crying and laughing, and I think I may have gotten mad once. I'm not sure, but we've gone through all the emotions today. I don't even know what time it is. I'm sure I'm way past time today. All right. So, and we're going to keep on going. So, so making small steps towards changing the environment. So if it seems impossible, I actually had a person that needed to leave her husband. She needed to leave her husband. Her husband was a mean, ugly, horrible person. And it was not beneficial. I have to tell you, God did not want her in that relationship. And I couldn't tell her to do that, but eventually she left her husband. No cancer. Just saying. Just saying. Odd coincidence. Odd coincidence. So, but she had to make small steps. She just didn't go home that afternoon and go, I think I'm leaving you today. She didn't do that. It was not a knee-jerk reaction. She had to make steps into making sure that her life was going to be something after of leaving the husband. That's a hard pill to swallow. I've been in 2 nasty marriages. I'm in a fabulous marriage right now. My first marriage was a disaster. We were married for 7 years. Oh my God. Oh my God, he might have caused my cancer, honestly. But it was horrible, horrible, horrible marriage. We got married young. We were stupid. I was so stupid. It was as much as my fault as it was his fault. Oh my gosh. My second marriage was a rebound from my first marriage. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. He was a workaholic. He never paid attention to me. When he did, it was on his terms, on his liking, whatever he wanted to do. He was actually an awesome guy. He was just a total workaholic. He just drained me. He drained me. Now I'm in a good balance. Now I have an amazing, 3rd time's a charm. I'm telling you, third time's a charm for me, I guess. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's how it was. That's how it was. So, right? I know. Stressful though. Both of those marriages, very stressful. The divorce was way less stressful than the marriages were. Sorry to say that, but it's true. Okay, so changing of the environment. Changing your environment. If that environment is stressing you, change the environment. Number 2. This is one of my favorite things to do, and this is going to seem very contrary for a lot of you, but I want you to think about how we are bombarded with technology every single day, because you're watching me on a device, right? And so I'm telling you to put your device down. Not right now, but because you need to know these steps, but but having a break from your device, your phone, your computer, your cell phone, whatever. My favorite way to do that is to go for a walk. It doesn't have to be a long walk. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't need to be 20 minutes even. I take about a 10-minute walk. That's about 2 times around my block. No devices, no headphones, no phone, nothing in my hand. Don't even take the dog. Don't take my husband. If I had kids, I wouldn't take them. I go for a walk, I do deep breathing, I calm myself down, I find my joy, I find what makes me happy, I think about my day, I think about what I need to do next, I think about whatever it is that is weighing heavily on me, I think about how to fix the $200 mistake that I made in my checkbook this week. I just go through and just take time all by myself. No husband, no dog, no cell phone, no headphones, no nothing. If nothing's bothering me, I just take a look around and enjoy the beautiful nature. I listen to the wind blowing, I listen to the birds chirping, I look at the beautiful grass, I admire my neighbor's gardens, I think about what kind of flower is that. It's very simple. It's very accessible. Everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. It's the most accessible relaxation technique or stress management. Dang it, I said it. Stress management technique available to you. 10-15 minute walk, twice around the block, right? We all have stress, but it's not caused by, cancer is not caused by stress. Well, it's a product of it, but it's not directly caused, right? It's very, very accessible. It's very accessible. All right? Rest. A nap. A nap, a full night's sleep, resting when you're tired, acknowledging that you're tired. Have you ever seen the meme that says, I'm strong, but I'm tired? There's so much truth in that meme. I'm strong, but I'm tired. That's me. I'm strong, but I'm tired sometimes, right? Take a nap. Our bodies love to sleep. Our bodies love rest and relaxation. My mom, who had a stroke 8 years ago, oh, no, we're going on, no, wait, no, 9 years. We're going on 9 years now. My mom had a stroke 9 years ago. And it affected her sleep-wake regulation, and so she likes to sleep a lot. And I have to tell you that I think one of her biggest blessings in recovering from the stroke has actually been the sleep, right? That's what the weekends are for, exactly. So, but I think one of her biggest blessings is that actually that sleep-wake regulation, because she likes to sleep a lot, and it's very healing for her body. And so taking a time for a nap. I do power naps. I'm a power napper. It really ticks my husband off because I can power nap. So this weekend we were camping and we're sitting in our camping chair. We're in a gorgeous setting, by the way. It was the most beautiful trip. Oh my gosh. We went to a place we'd never been to before and it was so beautiful. The mountains, the air, the lake, everything was gorgeous. And we're sitting in this, we have a double like camping chair. That's one of those, you know what I'm talking about, those like fold together chairs, but it's double. It's like a couch, like a sofa. 2 people can sit in it. And so we're sitting in that and I have my feet propped up on my other camping stool. I have my feet propped up. I'm sitting in the sun. I got so much vitamin D this weekend. I'm sitting in the sun, but the sun's not like intense because there's this cool breeze and it's just beautiful out. And I fell asleep and I slept for like 10 minutes and I woke up and I was like, whew, that was awesome. I love power naps. I can be dead tired and take a 10-minute power nap and I'm good to go. I mean, I am like, let's do this. I'm ready. And I do it a lot. I used to do it in my corporate life. It's actually been a gift for a long time. But he was like, that's so aggravating that you can do that. I'm like, I know. It's like my superpower. It's my 10-minute power naps. But I can put myself in a total state of relaxation and go to sleep, right? You got to go to 2 hours. If I go 2 hours, then I'm grumpy. If I go longer than 30 minutes, I'm grumpy. And I want sweets as soon as I wake up. It's so weird. It's this weird thing, right? I love that. I know. He's like, that's just so annoying that you can do that. It was so funny, right? I know. So this is the key. I'm telling you, 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, never longer than 30 minutes, because in 30 minutes, you actually get into your REM cycle. 30 minutes to an hour, you actually get to your REM cycle. And if you get woke up during that, you can be grumpy and hungry. So 10, 15-minute naps are really like, unless you're going to sleep for 2-3 hours, that's like amazing, right? Superpower. It is a superpower. I feel like it is anyway. It's amazing. It's an amazing gift. Trust me, I never take it lightly, because everybody that's ever witnessed it is like, that is not fair. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but my body, I just trained it that way. Maybe it has something to do with this dyslexia. Anyway, so rest is very healing. Exercise actually releases endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, which are all our happy, joyful, our confidence. So a lot of our joy comes from when we're confident in our situation. So if you've ever realized that, you know, I feel confident in this situation, like for us girls, sometimes it's when we put on like a hot dress and some slinky shoes, and our hair is perfect and our makeup's perfect, and we go out with our girlfriends and we're feeling really, really confident. That brings us joy, right? So it's not so much the act of being with your girlfriends that creates it. It's the act of the confidence that you've created by getting ready to go out. And some of us don't even need that slinky dress and heels. We're naturally that way, which I wish, and I'm not. But that confidence actually brings joy into our body. And so exercise, it brings confidence, and it brings the endorphins and the dopamine and the serotonin, which are going to contribute to your rest, which are going to contribute to your happy feeling, which are going to make you feel more confident, which is going to, exercise is amazing. You should be doing it. However, if you are if you're actively battling cancer, so if you have active cancer in your body right now, I would not recommend a high intense workout. I would recommend walks. I would recommend some treadmill work, but never running. So no strenuous exercise, but actually doing some strength training with weights, but not even doing that a lot of times, because your body actually needs energy to repair muscle, and as it sends energy to repair muscle, that's how we build muscle, is because it's a constant state of repair. But when we're doing that, it actually requires energy, and so it could zap it from the healing process of the cancer, which is very similar. And so you want to exercise, but not like, you don't want to be like crazy with it, right? You want to be more moderate with the exercise. Rebounders are amazing, Pam. Rebounders are so good for you. They move the lymphatic system. They give you all of the same endorphins. They are so, so good for you. Just bouncing on a rebounder 15 minutes a day will do wonders for you, right? Bye, Chris. Thanks for being here. I know it's a long-winded one today. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit faster. So here's some other ideas. So a warm bath is very, very great for stress management. A warm bath, if you like baths, don't do it. If you hate baths, don't take a bath. But a nice warm bath for the bath lovers out there with some Epsom salt, about a cup of Epsom salt in the bath, will actually help physically release the muscle tension in the body without you doing any work at all. The Epsom salt will actually help release muscle tension in the body and can make us feel more or less stressed. So a nice warm bath, add some essential oils to that, like lavender or peppermint. You can add chamomile, you can add jasmine, all kinds of really beautiful, vanilla, grapefruit. All of those simulate joy and happiness in the nostrils and in the brain. So kind of like aromatherapy is going to be really good for you. Yoga is one of my favorite stress management tools. Yoga is amazing. I highly recommend that if you're not doing yoga, that you find time to practice at least once a week. 15 minutes once a week will do wonders for your human body and your mental state as well. Yoga is really, really good for that. Hobbies, my hobbies are cooking and surfing. I want to touch on this just slightly. So I don't get to physically do, what is that? There's like a piece of cottonwood in my hair. I don't get to physically do the surfing because I live in Colorado, but what I can do is prepare my body for surfing and my mind for surfing, so I can watch surfing videos. I can do exercises for my shoulders so that my shoulders are nice and strong for paddling. I can work on my balance, which I do in my yoga. My yoga practices is really focused on balance. I can do things to prepare myself for my next surfing trip, which is same as changing the environment. I'm making small steps to make myself a better surfer, although not physically getting to surf. I can go to the reservoir and take my surfboard and paddle around and exercise those muscles. And so getting into a hobby that you like to do is really, really important, that you stick with it. If you've had a hobby that you've abandoned because you think you don't have time, you need to rethink that, because it is important that you stick with your hobbies that you like to do and that they're your hobbies. They're not somebody else's hobbies, but they're your hobbies. And it's okay if your husband or your kids like to do it with you, but it should not be their hobby that you like to do with them. Okay? Clear? All right, moving along. Reading is great for me. If you love to read, getting a really great book, it can even be a trashy romance novel. I don't even care. If that's what you like to read. But whatever you like to read, I am a nonfiction reader. I don't read novels or anything like that. I'm a nonfiction educational reader. That relaxes me. It helps me feel like that I'm doing something to move my mind and body forward. So reading is great. Music, I know Sherry, who is here with us. I know Claudia's who's over here with us on Facebook. Music is a huge part of their lives. Music, if you love music, let me just tell you, please don't put on the kind that hype you up to a point that, like some political ranting music or something like that. If that's what fires you up, don't pick subjects that fire you up. If you are experiencing sexual dysfunction, then probably don't listen to songs that make you feel like you want to have sex. Okay, and I'm not even being funny. If you are just out of a relationship, and don't listen to music that was part of that relationship, that reminds you of that person, that is dreadful, and you are just harming yourself. You are just causing yourself more stress. So you want to listen to something completely different. You like podcasts. I love that. Podcasts are awesome for that. Absolutely, right? Back to beading and reading. I love that. Scott says he likes to bead and read. I love that, right? So oh, thank you, Sarah. You're so sweet. So, but getting back to those hobbies that are reading and okay, we're still past all that. Music, but listening to something that is beneficial to you, because music is very emotional and we attach memories to music. I can tell you what songs were popular in 1987 if I hear them on the radio. I'm like, oh, I was 17 when that song came out. And it's because we attach an emotion to that. So music can be very emotional for us. So make sure that you are catering the music to a non-stress state of mind and not to a stress state of mind, okay? Let's see, dancing. I love dancing. If you're not a dancer, I totally get it. But if you love to dance, kitchen dance parties are the best. Just a dance party while you're getting ready for work in the morning. Dance party when you are listening to some good piece of music when you're in your car. I'm always grooving in my car. I'm always wondering if I'm known around town for the girl in the smart car who's constantly singing and jamming and going. In my car, I'm driving and I'm singing and I'm going. I'm like, yeah. I'm singing at the top of my lungs, and I don't even care who's listening or who's watching. And if somebody's staring at me, I like point at them and I'm singing to them. I'm not even kidding. I may be known for that. May or may not be known for that, right? Dancing to the oldies. I love it. I love it. You guys are coming up with great ideas today, right? So, sex. Sex is an amazing stress reliever unless that is the source of your stress. If that's the source of your stress, then maybe you want to go on a sabbatical from sex. But if you enjoy sex and your partner enjoys sex, or maybe it's even by yourself, I don't know. But that is a great stress reliever. It's amazing, especially if you're younger. Especially, I don't mean younger, I mean like you're being responsible, of course. Be responsible. It's just human nature to want to have sex. It's human nature. So, but it's a very good stress reliever. Prayer is when, right after sex, I say prayer. Maybe you pray for sex, I don't know. But prayer is also very, very powerful. Making sure that you have a spiritual anchor. Some type of spiritual anchor, even if you're agnostic, even if you're an atheist, you still have some sort of spiritual anchor that ties you to something. And so identifying what that spiritual anchor is and using that, right? I know it was total awkward transition. I did. And then I said you could pray for sex. So, but having that spiritual anchor is going to be very, very important. I'm actually a Christian, so I pray to God. I believe in Jesus. I mean, so that's my belief system. So that's how I know, right? So that's how I pray. But whatever that spiritual anchor is going to be very important is going to be very important for stress management. Sorry, now my face is probably red. I just embarrassed myself. So volunteering is really important. I have one patient that actually, our client, not a patient, but client, that actually volunteers at a local animal shelter. She loves animals. So this is a great example. She had to change her environment. She loves animals, but she lives in a place that she doesn't want to move from, that she loves living in, but they do not allow pets. And so we brainstormed the heck out of it, because she's like, I really don't want to move from my house because I love my house, but at the same time, I would really like to have a pet, but I'm not allowed to have a pet. And so we actually brainstormed the service animal idea, because she could have a service animal in her house. And then she was like, but that's not fair to people who truly need service animals. And so that caused her a little bit of stress, that thought process. And so one day we brainstormed. I said, what about volunteering at at our animal shelters here? Bingo. Bingo bongo. She can be around as many pets as she wants. She can give that love, those pets that don't have homes, she can give that love unconditionally to as many pets as she can possibly give it out to. And so she volunteers twice a week, right? You're welcome. She volunteers twice a week. She's like their super volunteer. She volunteers twice a week there. And it fulfills her need, her satisfaction for wanting a pet. And so it's an amazing, and pets themselves can be very relaxing, as most of us know who have pets. Sometimes they cause us stress as well. My poodle stresses me out sometimes, but I love her. Yeah, so these are the kinds of things that cancer, people think cancer coaching is how many carrots are you eating? How much broccoli did you eat today? People think that's what cancer coaching is, but really cancer coaching is more of what can we do to make your life easier so that the cancer doesn't want to hang out, right? Yeah. Try 3 cats, right? I know, understand. So volunteering is very, very powerful. Giving back to people is giving back to a community or to those in need can be very, 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 if you don't have a spiritual affiliation, that can be very spiritual within itself, is giving back to other people. So I highly recommend that you do that. So on a professional level, if none of those things, I know you do, and they're such pretty little girls, I love them, or cats, I don't know if they're boys or girls, I assume they're all girls for some reason. Isn't that funny? But those are things that you can do that are just available for you right now, that action steps that you can take right now. If you need to go professional level, you can hire a cancer coach. You can hire somebody like me, right? All girls. I thought they were. Isn't that funny? I kind of instinctively assumed that they were all girls. But you can hire a coach, a life coach, a cancer coach, whatever floats your boat. You can hire a coach professionally. You can get psychotherapy. You can get massage. Massage is amazing. If you've never done it, you got to go try it. Don't get a fluff and buff. Get a therapeutic massage. Do not get a fluff and buff. Those have their places, but if you want really a massage to really take hold and dig deep inside of your body, then you want to get a therapeutic massage, right? 2 girls, I love that. Hypnosis works for some people. Biofeedback, which is a type of therapy that helps us identify what is happening deep inside of us, both emotionally, physically. It's actually very deep work that not a lot of people do well with, but it's available. Energy work like Reiki is really really helpful, especially if you're dealing with a lot of pain. If you want to deal with if you're dealing with pain, Reiki is really good for energy work to help reduce that pain, and is definitely a stress management. Acupuncture, acupressure. There are so many things that that can help you manage your stress. So, right? Thank you, Pam. So, as you might know, I'm super passionate about these topics. Tomorrow, we're going to go one step deeper tomorrow, if you can imagine that. And tomorrow, we are going to be talking about the Cancer personality. And if that freaks you out, I understand. It freaked me out too. But I want to expose some studies and some ideas behind certain types of cancer and how they relate to us emotionally. I shared a little bit with you today in my own personal story and some other stories, but I'm going to share some case histories with you that are not my own personal case histories, but are from another source, so that you have an idea about how emotionally tied we are to our diseases and to our sicknesses and to the things that that prey upon our human body. So right? Hey, it's good to see you. Green Acres, I love that. That's actually a good one. Things that make you laugh. Going to the movies, books, movies, anything that makes you laugh. A friend like you, Chris. We should all hire Chris to make us laugh. Those are serious stress management tools. So yes. Okay, so that is the end of the broadcast today. Thank you for joining me. I know that this was an intense topic today, and tomorrow is going to be intense as well, but I'm going to bring some levity on Thursday. My husband is going to be in the kitchen with us on Thursday, and I'm going to be teaching him knife skills because he keeps whacking his thumb with the knife. And so we are eating good popcorn, right? Eating good popcorn, watching a good movie. I love that. We saw Cars last night. We saw Cars 3 last night. It was really cute. I enjoyed it, actually. We both of us enjoyed it. It was a good movie. So, right? So, so yes, seeing a movie that is light and lighthearted. If you're depressed, don't watch a depressed movie. If you're sad, don't watch a sad movie. If you're happy, you can still watch a happy movie. So, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tony. It was really good to have you here, and I am here for you. If you have any questions, if there's anything I can help you with, please let me know. So, right? I love that. Scott says, buy yourself some flowers is good therapy. I love that idea. My mom does flower therapy all the time. She loves to plant and grow flowers. So, thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for being here with us. I appreciate all the love. I cherish it, in fact, and I thank you for all the shares and all the hearts and everything today. So have a great afternoon. I gotta go get a haircut. I got a haircut at 2 o'clock. I gotta go. So have a great afternoon, everybody. Love you so much. Go2kitchens.com is the website. Go2kitchens.com. Please check it out. All social media at Go2Kitchens. And thank you for joining me today. Thank you, guys. Right? I know. Welcome summer. All right. Yes, please send me a DM on Twitter. Actually, send me a tweet that says that I need to say, that just says like follow me from Scope or something, and then I need to follow you, and then I'll get the DM. Or you can go to Facebook, Go2Kitchens there as well. So yeah, or you can email me right from my website, Go2Kitchens.com. You can email me right from there. Bye, Estella. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody, today. Thank you so much. It was in Periscope today. So hi, Greece. Thank you, guys. Bye. Bye, Facebook. Thank you. Bye, Periscope. Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here at Go2Kitchens. Bye, guys. Love you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye.